build your first AI assistant with generative AI, and it's a hands-on session to create your own ChatGPT style assistant.
Now today's masterclass is on the chatbot, right? Specifically on the RAGs, right? So what are RAGs, right? So why do we create the RAGs, and how the different companies they have started using the RAGs in their companies. Okay, so before I start one hour of session. So I'll try to cover it in 50 to 55 minutes, and last 5 to 10 minutes we'll be reserving it for the Q&A section, right? So if you have any questions or anything, then we'll be discussing about that. Okay, so this is our flow for the today's session. Okay, now let's talk about chatbots, right? So what are chatbots? You already aware about this thing, right? So let's suppose you want to enroll in any, let's suppose you have a bank account in Bank of America, right? So what you want to do? You want to you want to change your address into your bank address, right? So whatever the bank address is there, you want to change the bank address. So what do? You you do not know where to upload it, right? Or where to upload the documents, or where to update the address, you do not know. So what do? You will call to their customer care center, right? You will call to their customer care center. So what the customer care center will do, firstly, you have to wait for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? And after that, they will pick your call. And after that, you will start explaining them the issue. Ki, I want to update my address. Then what they will say, okay, hold on a line. I'll check like how to update the address. So the customer care executive, she will refer to the document, right? So she will refer to the document in the sense there will be like hundreds of documents. So she will look out for that particular document where the steps are written how to update the address. So the customer care executive will go into this document, and she will unmute and she will start telling you like go to the net banking, log in into this, go to this, go to this and that. Okay. So these are the steps which the customer care executive follows. Now, can this be automated, right? As of now, if I talk about any particular company, so they might be needing hundreds of customer care executives to solve their problems, right? It's a very uh, uh, I mean, a lot of cost is involved into it. So now companies are thinking like with the advancement of AI, can we automate this task? Can we automate this task? Instead of hiring the customer care executive, can I give this task to AI and AI can do this task on the behalf of the person? The answer is yes, right? How? Using the RAG application, right? Using the RAGs. So the full form of RAG is Retrieval Augmented Generation. Okay. So what they will do, we will be creating our own RAG, right? We'll be creating our own chatbot. So if you now go to the website of any bank, right? Let's suppose Bank of America, Amex, this bank, that bank, right? Not only about bank, but any company, right? You will go to their website. So there is a pop-up which will get open. This is like a chatbot. So when you will ask the questions to the chatbot, what this chatbot will do, it will go to this document, right? Let's suppose you have asked the same question, how to update the address. So it will go to the all the documents which are available on the website, right? On this company's website. It will refer to all those documents and it will retrieve the information from that, right? Only from those company's documents, and it will give you as a response. Isn't it amazing? So earlier we need the human to do this task, but now this is being taken care by the AI itself. Now it's a win-win situation for both the parties, for the company also and for the end user also. How it is a win-win situation for the company? That now the company, they do not need to hire the people, right? So they do not need to give the salaries, right? So they can reduce the headcount. So this is the win-win situation for the banks. And how it is a win-win situation for the end user? Now they don't have to wait that customer care will pick my call and then I will start asking the questions, right? Because this chatbot, which is a AI chatbot, right? It will be working like 24/7, right? Because it's not a human, it's a AI, right? So it will be working 24/7. You can ask the question anytime and it will respond you immediately. You don't have to wait for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Immediately you will respond it. Okay. So this is one of the application, right? So where we are using it, right? So this is one of the application where the companies are using it. And the impact which we are seeing is the layoffs in the HR companies, right? So if you have heard that news, like 1 year back or maybe 9, 10 months back, right? IBM laid off like 600 HRs, right? What was the reason? The reason was this. Okay. So if you are the employee of the company, right? And you want to see how many leaves you want to take, right? How many leaves you want to take, whether you want, how many leaves you can take in a single year, right? Because there are different type of leaves, right? So you can have the sick leave, you can have the annual leave, right? So different types of leaves. So how many leaves you can take in a year? Earlier, what you used to do, you used to talk to your manager, right? So he used to tell you, okay, in a single year you can take these many leaves. Or if manager is will not respond, then you will go to the HR, right? And HR will tell you these many leaves you can take. But do you think now we need the HRs for that? The answer is no. And that is the reason you will see these days in the Microsoft Teams, in the Slack, in the Skype, right? So let's suppose these are the name of the people, right? So here we have the bot also, right? It will be like HR bot. So what it will do, if you will ask any question to this HR bot, let's suppose you are asking the same question, that how many sick leaves I can take in a year. How many sick leaves I can take in a year? You are asking this question. So what it will do, it will go back and refer all the leave documents, right? Just like then in this customer care executive, it was referring to the policy documents, right? Or the steps how to update the address. In the same way, in this example, the HR bot will refer all the policy documents, right? Policy in the sense, how many leaves employee can take, what is the termination policy and those things, right? It will read it and it will give the response back to the user in a readable format in the English sentence. So do you think now we need the HR? Earlier, HR used to take like 2 days to respond, 3 days to respond, but now within seconds you can get the response. So what is this? This is again the application of RAG. This is again the application of RAG, right? So one application which I have given you is like in the customer care. Second is in the HR team, right? And that is the reason why the teams are shrinking, right? Because these roles are redundant now, right? We do not need these roles, right, to do the manual work, because these roles can be done automated, right? I'll give you one more example, right? Let's talk about in the legal department. Legal department in the sense you are the advocate, right? You are the advocate, and we know like advocate is very popular field these days, okay? Because in every house we have some or the other legal cases running, okay? So when Now, what is the biggest challenge in front of advocate? The biggest challenge is when any new client comes to the advocate, right? When any new client comes to the advocate and he explains the situation that let's suppose this is the dowry case, right? So this has happened to me, right? So my family is torturing me, right? So these kind of things, when the client start explaining to him, right? Now, if he takes up the case, okay, now he need to make the base strong, right? So he has to refer to the previous cases in the sense, in the past, how many cases were there of related to dowry, right? In how many cases the situation was similar, what we are seeing in the current client, right? How that case was being fought, right? And who won the case, right? So what were the different approaches which the previous advocates referred, right? So this is what the biggest challenge in today's time is in front of advocates, right? And how the AI is coming into the picture. Okay, before going into the AI, how the advocates are doing it manually. They have to go through all the lengthy books. They have to go through the thick books. They have to refer it manually, right? Where were the old cases, they used to read it manually. But do you think we need it now? No. Right now, again, we have the chatbot. They can simply ask this question. They can simply ask this question that this is the case. How can I make the base strong for this case, right? So in this case, this is helping to the advocates also, right? I'll give you one more example. Now, this is from the medical team, right? Medical sector. Now, if I talk about the doctors, right? Very similar to situation which I have discussed in the advocate, the same situation can happen with the case of doctors also, right? A new patient comes to doctor and there are different symptoms of, let's suppose, typhoid, right? There are different symptoms of typhoid, right? Now, this is not a simple typhoid, right? This is a complex typhoid. Okay, so that means the simple medicines will not work. Now, what the doctor will do? He need to refer to the previous cases. He need to refer to the previous cases where the similar kind of case came. Okay, so for same also, he can he can refer to the chatbot. He can refer to the chatbot. Which chatbot? Which is the RAG application, RAG based chatbot, and from that it can extract like how it can be done. Okay. Now, I have given you the examples from different domains just to give you the idea like how the RAG-based chatbots can be created. Okay. Now, one question might be coming in your mind, like we already have this, right? So, for example, if I talk about the ChatGPT, this is also a chatbot, right? This is also a chatbot. Then why we need the RAG application, right? Then why we need to create a separate chatbot which is different from the ChatGPT, right? Or if I talk about the Copilot, right? When we have the Copilot, right? So when we have the Perplexity, then why I need to create a separate chatbot? Okay, it's a very valid question and it's a very genuine question, and the answer for this is, if I talk about the ChatGPT, Copilot, or whatever the open chatbot platforms which you are seeing in the market, right? Those are not domain specific, right? When I say domain specific, so if you ask the question to the ChatGPT that how many leaves I can take, right? Let's suppose you are working for a Facebook company. You are working in a Facebook company and you are going to ask the question, how many leaves I can take, right? The ChatGPT will not give you the answer. ChatGPT will not give you the answer because it doesn't have the organization specific confidential information, right? So Facebook, the leaves which a person can take in the Facebook, that is specific to the employees only, that will be confidential, that is not something which is released in the public, so it will not be able to give the answer. It can give you a generic answer that usually you can take 20 leaves, but it will not give you the direct exact number, these many leaves. This is the first reason, right? So that we can create the domain or company specific chatbot, right? So do we have that chatbot available? The answer is no, right? We have to create our own chatbot. Okay. So another example is, now let's take the example of ChatGPT again. Okay. Now let's suppose this was built or trained on the data till 2024, right? Let's suppose May 2024. So that means it has the access only the data which was available till May 2024. It cannot give you the latest data. It cannot give you the data after this, right? So this is the another limitation which we have in these kind of chatbots, right? So latest data might not be available, right? And third reason is, and the most important is, you never will see that ChatGPT will say that I do not know, right? Even if you are going to ask any question, right? Even if you are going to ask any question, let's suppose you will ask the question, how many dollars I have in my bank account? Still, it will try to give the answer for that, right? So it will never say that I do not know, right? So this is what do we call it as a hallucination. Hallucination, right? So even it does not know the answer, it will try to hallucinate. But it's not good, right? So if I am in the company and if I want to see that how many leaves I can take, so I need to refer only to that document which is specific to the company. Okay, so I want to create a chatbot in such a way that if that information is available in this document, then it should say that answer. Otherwise, it should say I do not know. Is it clear till here, or any questions? Like why the example? What is the usage, real-time usage of this RAG, and why these chatbots directly will not work? This is the reason. And when we say that AI is eating up the jobs, AI is eating up the jobs, right? This is how it is taking the redundant jobs, right? On one side, the jobs are getting redundant for the customer care executives, for the HRs, right? And on the other hand, the jobs are increasing in the AI role because the companies are looking that where the work will be very efficient and they need to compete with the market. Okay, so with this, now I do not need hundred of customer cares in my company, right? I do not know hundreds of HRs in my company because I already have a chatbot which is running 24/7. Earlier, if I was having 100 employees, I need only 5 employees now who can just overlook that whatever the responses which ChatGPT is giving or whatever the responses my RAG application, the RAG chatbot is giving, that is accurate. That's it, right? Now manual intervention is required. All the answers will be automated. Advocates, earlier they used to do the analysis for 5 days, 6 days to make the base strong, but now they have the access of the RAG applications. They can simply ask the question and they will get the answer. In the medical, it is making the life of the doctors very, very easy, right? If you go to the big hospitals and if you will see how the doctors are working in their mobile phones, in their laptops, they are actually using this RAGs application. Okay, now this is a brief about the RAGs and why we are learning this, right? And almost every company is creating the RAGs now. Okay, now the question is, what are the steps in creating the RAGs, right? So now if I talk about the steps in creating the RAG, so there are 5 steps only, right? The first one is the data loading. Data loading in the sense, let's take the same example, Bank of America. Okay, so you want to create a chatbot for your particular, let's suppose you are working for the Bank of America, you are working as a data scientist and you want to create a chatbot over there. Okay, so this is the requirement, right? I'll explain the requirement. The requirement is, you are working for Bank of America, right? You are a data scientist working in the Bank of America. Your leadership came to you and they said, create a chatbot, and it should not be a generic chatbot, right? It should be a specific chatbot. Specific in the sense, it should refer to the documents of the company only, right? Only for this company, right? For this company, for Bank of America, if there are 50 documents in the sense, leave policies, FD rates, these rates, that rates, right? Interest rates and all those rates, right? So it should read only those documents, and from those documents only, it should give me the answer, right? If the end user is asking how to open the account, it should refer to these documents only. If the information is not available in this document, it should simply say, I do not know. This kind of requirement is there. Okay, so if it is asking who is the current president of India, who is the current prime minister of India, right? It should simply say, I do not know, because that information will not be available in this. Okay, so this is the requirement. So with this requirement, let's try to understand the steps. So the first step will be the data loading. So what do you mean by data loading? So if you are going to train your chatbot, obviously you need the data on which it will be trained. So these documents can be in the form of websites also. These documents can be in form of CSV files also, can be in form of Excel files also, can be from the database also, can be from the PDF also, right? It can be in any form, because when we work in the companies, the data is scattered in different domains. So that is what we call it as the first step, that the data ingestion. So we will be taking all the different data which I want that my chatbot should refer to that document, right? So this is the first step, that data loading. We will be loading all those data into our system. Okay, whether it's Excel, CSV, PDF, website, web scraping, or anything. Now, second step is split the data into the chunks. Now, the problem is that this data will be very huge, right? It can be in GBs also. Let's suppose I can have the 5 GB of data set also. I can have 1 TB of data set also, right? It can be in any form, right? If I talk about the stock market, right? If I want to analyze for any particular stock, so what I will do, I will retrieve the data from the websites, from the past data, right? It will be like hundreds of MBs, hundreds of GBs of data. So my LLMs will not be able to read that huge data in one go. Okay, so what we have to do, first one is data load, right? Second is that we will be splitting it into the chunks. Chunks in the sense, let's suppose I have a huge sentence, right? I'll be breaking into the small, small parts, right? So that can be of 100 words, 200 words, 500 words, 1000 words, right? So that means in a single chunk, I'll be keeping only 1000 words. Then the second chunk will start. It will have the next 1000 words. Then the third chunk. Then it will have the next 1000 words, right? So in this way, I'll keep on creating the chunks. The third is creating the embeddings. Embeddings in the sense, these chunks will be in English, right? So let's suppose the sentence was that you can take only 5 annual leaves in a year, right? So this is an English sentence. So I cannot pass the English sentence, right? I need to convert them into the vectors. So we will be converting them into the vectors because my machines, my LLMs convert into vectors. My machines, my algorithms, my LLMs, they don't understand the English. They only understand the numbers. So these chunks were in English, so we'll be converting them into the numbers in the third step, right? After that, what is the fourth step? Storing it in the vector store, right? So that means once we have created these huge vectors, we need to store it somewhere. So we will be storing it into the database, right? And that database is called as the vector database, right? So there are different type of databases we have, right? Like RDBMS and different types of databases. So in this, there is one database which is used mainly into the GenAI, into the RAGs, which is called as the vector database. Why the name vector database? Because we are storing the vectors. What are vectors? It will be something like this: 0, 1, 1, 0, and so on. So the sentence was this: you can take only 10 annual leaves. So that will be converted into this in this kind of vector. Okay. So that is called as the vector database, that we will be storing all the information. So that means whatever we have retrieved from this documents, the entire information is stored into the vector database in the form of numbers, in the form of vectors. After that, the fifth step is the retrieval step, right? Fifth step is the retrieval step. Retrieval in the sense, now if I'm the end user, I'm asking how many leaves I can take. If I'm the user, I'm asking how many leaves I can take. So what my RAG application will do, it will start looking from this huge vector database, right? Because in this vector database, you have the entire information, right? Entire information in the sense, how many leaves I can take, how to open the account, how to change the password, right? And all those things. But what the user is asking? User is asking how many leaves I can take. So what it will do, it will extract only the relevant information from that. It will extract only the relevant chunks where the information related to leaves is available, right? So that is called as the retrieval. So we have retrieved only the relevant information from this vector DB, right? And then that information we have extracted, and then we have to share it with the end user. We cannot share it as it is. We cannot share these numbers, right? We have to share the sentences. So my LLMs will come into the picture, right? Today we'll be using the OpenAI GPT model. So it will convert into the readable format, right? Which will make sure like the grammar is correct, syntax is correct, right? All the rules, verbs has been taken care properly. Okay. So this is the end-to-end flow. Okay. Now see, this is diagrammatically, right? So first one is this is also explaining you the 5 steps only, which I have discussed here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the same 5 steps are written here also. First one is the document loading, right? So where we are loading the different documents, right? It can be video, it can be audio, it can be text, it can be website, right? So these different symbols are signifying that. So after that, we are creating the chunks because my model cannot read the entire 5 GB or 10 GB of data in one go, right? We have to split it into the small parts. So this is what we are doing. In the third step, we are creating the embeddings for that. So that means we are converting them into the numbers. And the fourth part is then we are storing into the vector DB. This is how the database will look like, in which we are storing the numbers, and then we are extracting whatever the end user is asking, right? If let's suppose the end user is asking how to open the bank account in Bank of America, right, or in Bank B, right? So how to open the account from this vector database, it will extract only that information which is relevant to how to open the account. Okay. So from that, then it will be giving that information back to the user in human readable format. Okay. Now what I will do, I'll go to the implementation part, right, to give you the idea how actually it works. Okay. So now this will give you the idea how actually it works. Okay. Now for this, what I'm going to do for the practical implementation, I hope now you have got the idea, right? So we are going to implement the same 5 steps only, right? And trust me guys, after completing this masterclass, you will be in a position to create your own chatbot. Okay. So we are going to follow these 5 steps only, right, to create the chatbot, to create our own domain specific chatbot, right? Let's suppose you are working in company ABC, right? So you will be creating this chatbot only for this company itself, right? So which will extract the information only related to this company. Okay. Okay. Now, what we are going to do now in the practical implementation, we are going to see two things, right? Firstly, I'll show you on the Google Colab, right? Firstly, the project I'll be taking, I'll show you on the Google Colab, and I'll show you all these 5 steps. We'll be reading one PDF document, and from that document, I'll be start asking the questions, and my chatbot will give the response from that, right? This is the first thing which we'll do. And the second thing is, then we will be deploying it on the Streamlit, and for that we will be using the VS Code, right? So with that, you will get the exposure of both the platforms. One is the Colab, and one is the VS Code also. Okay. So when we are going to do the deployment, we'll be going to do it on the Streamlit. We are going to do it on the Streamlit, and for that we will be using the VS Code. Okay. So this is our plan. So we'll be taking the same project on the Colab and the same project on the VS Code, so that you will get the exposure of both. Okay. Now, what is the problem statement? The problem statement is that this is a employee agreement document, right? This is the employee agreement document, right? So if you see, this employee agreement document is made on this between this, right? So it's like an offer letter, right? So when you join any company, you get an offer, right? So this is something like that, right? And it's a 13 to 14 page document, right? If you will see in this, everything is written, like how many leaves you can take, right? What is your salary? What is your working location, right? What is your this thing, right? Means every rule and regulation, everything is written in this. Okay. Now what I want, I'm going to create a chatbot in which I will be taking this PDF document as an input. I will be reading this entire 15-page document as an input. Then I will be following the same 5 steps, what we have done here: data load, chunking, vectors, vector database, and retrieval. And then I'll start asking the questions from this document, right? And then my chatbot will respond me, right? And then my chatbot will respond me. Okay, this is the requirement. This is the requirement. Guys, is the requirement clear what we are going to do? Just give the thumbs up so that I'll get to know that you have got the requirement clear. Yeah, requirement is clear. Great. Okay, great. Right. So the requirement is, I'll repeat. So this is an offer letter, right? And this is a dummy offer letter, right? So I have created myself, right? So this is a dummy offer letter. This is not an original, right? In this offer letter, a lot of information is there, right? Like what will be the salary of the person, what will be the working location, right? Or rules and regulations of the companies and everything. Now I will be creating a chatbot based on RAG, which will read this document, and then when as an end user I will start asking the questions, it will give me the answer. So basically, I do not need to worry where to read, how to read. I don't need to bother now to read this entire big document, right? Okay, now let's go into the coding part. Now, see guys, the first thing is, whenever we are going to create the chatbot, right, we need some LLMs, right? So generally for these kind of applications, when you create the industry specific applications, right, there are 2 types, right? One is open source and one is paid or licensed, right? For which we have to purchase the API key, right? So you can use the open source also, but generally we do not recommend it, right? So once you will start working in the companies, or those who are working in the companies, they might be able to relate. We do not use the open source because they do not give the good accuracy. Firstly, they do not give the good accuracy. Good accuracy in the sense you are going to ask the question something else, and they are going to give you the answer something else, or grammatically they will not be correct, right? So it's always good to use the paid API keys, right? So, and for that, today we are going to use the GPT models, right? For that, we are going to use the GPT model. Okay. So this is the API key for that GPT model. Okay. So what I would suggest, the GPT key you will get easily at $5, right? So you can purchase that, and you can start working on it. Okay. So if you see here, this is my GPT key which I have written. Now, when I am going to run this, right? So I need some dependencies also to be downloaded, right? So LangChain, OpenAI, LangChain community, right? So these are related to the LangChain. LangChain is what? LangChain is a framework by which you can create the different models, right? You can create the different end user applications. Okay, so that is what we call it as the LangChain framework, right? Using the LangChain, it is very easy to create the GenAI applications. Okay, so PyPDF. What is PyPDF? To read the PDF documents, right? So we have different libraries. From that, one is the PyPDF. Okay, and in the PDF also, you will be seeing that we have the different libraries. The reason is because in this PDF we have only the text, right? But there can be some PDFs in which you can have the tabular structures also. In some PDFs you can have some kind of images also, right? So if you want to extract some information from the images, if you want to extract some information from the tables which are there in the PDF, right? So for all of those things we'll have the different libraries, right? So but in this, since we have only the text, so we are using this PyPDF, right? This one. Now, this is the vector DB which we are going to use, right? So why do we need the vector DB? Because here if you see, I need the vector DB also, and for that we are going to use the FAISS, right? So this is for the Facebook, right? Facebook similarity search. Okay, so this is that, right? PyPDF, LangChain. So these are the libraries which we are importing, right? So I'm going to download it. Okay, so since these are already there in my system, so that's why it is not. And I have imported that employee agreement also, right? If you see, this is the employee agreement which I have downloaded, which we have uploaded here, and this is the same this document I have uploaded here. Okay. Now, after that, what we are going to do, we are going to import all the libraries what we want, right? See, here what we were doing, we were downloading it, right, which were required, but now here we are importing it, right? So what I want now, see, this is important part. Guys, let's try to understand all these things one by one. OpenAI embeddings, right? What is OpenAI embeddings? So here, if you will see what we discussed, that we have to convert the text into the vectors, right? I want to convert the text into the vectors. I want to convert the English sentence into the numbers. So I need some library for that. And for that, we are using this OpenAI embeddings. This is again coming from the GPT models. Chat OpenAI, right? So this will be used to call the LLM, right? Because I'm going to use the OpenAI and this OpenAI LLM GPT model. This is that. PyPDF loader. So this will be used to load the PDF, right? So because I need to read this PDF document, so this is my PyPDF loader. Recursive character text splitter. What is that? This is basically chunking part, right? I want to break into the small parts, right? Because in one go, what it will do, it will load the entire document in one go, right? But my LLM will not be able to read this entire document in one go, right? So I have to divide into small parts, and for that we are using this recursive character text splitter. FAISS, now you are aware, right? FAISS is a vector database, right? Prompt template in the sense, here we will be giving the prompt to my LLM, right? So what kind of instruction I want to give, right? So that I will show you in some time. Retrieval QA, right? Retrieval QA in the sense, what I want to extract from the DB. Okay, so we'll see the usage of all these things one by one. Now see, firstly, what is the first step? The first step is loading the document. So here we are loading the document, right? So using the PyPDF loader, right? So this is the document I'm loading. So if I'm going to run this, so it is telling me that there are 13 pages for that, right? And if I want to double check, simply go to this and you will see these are the 13 pages for this. See, there are 13 pages. So all the 13 pages have been imported here. Now, if you want to see whether the pages are imported correctly or not, right? So what you can do, simply write here docs, right? Just print docs. Now see, this is how it will look like. This is the metadata. Okay. So if you see the content here, page content, see, Mm, see this thing. Okay, so each party may designate a different address for receiving the notices by this, right? So from where it is coming? It is coming from this one, right? From this it is taking, right? Now let's suppose if I'm going to read the 0th document, right? Just pass the 0 and just run this. The 0th in the sense the very first document. So what it says, see, page content is starting from here. So EX 10.1.3, see, EX 10.13, right? It will read this, then it will read this, then it will read employee agreement, then it will start reading this part, right? This employee agreement made as of September 2014, right? So see, agreement as of September 2014. Okay, and where it is ending? It is ending terms and conditions of this employee agreement, right? So if you see the first page where it is ending, it is completing there, right? So this is the first this thing. Now if I'm going to read the second page, right? Simply write here one. See, it is starting from here. Article, place of employment, employee shall perform all his duties, right? See, place of employment, employee will shall perform all his duties until what point? Or in the future may be maintained by the, right? Or in the future may be maintained by the. So that means each page is getting stored in the separate list, right? In this way it is getting stored. Okay, now, so the first part is done. So we have completed the first part, which is the data load. Okay, now what is the second part? The second part is chunking part, right? So here we are dividing into the chunks, right? So recursive character text splitter, right? So we are saying divide into the thousand words, right? Means in each chunk we'll be having the 1,000 words, and overlap of 200 words will be there, right? So why we are saying overlap of 200 words? Now it's not a hard code number. You can play around with this, right? You can give the 10% of this, you can give the 20%, but generally we give like between 10 to 20%. Okay, so that the sequence will be retained, right? So that the sequence will be retained, right? So it will be like first first chunk will be from this to this. Let's suppose if these are the 1,000 words till this. Now the second chunk will start not from the August 15, but it will start from here, right? So that's there will be some overlap. This is what we are doing into this, right? So what we got to know, 41 chunks are created. And here we are using that OpenAI embeddings. So what this OpenAI embeddings will do, okay, let me run this. What it will do, it will convert those into the vectors. And for that, which model we are using? We are using the text embedding 3 small. So in the OpenAI, we have different models, right? We have 3 different models by which we can convert them into the numbers, right? So we are using one of them, which is this, okay? And here we are using the FAISS. FAISS in the sense, it will convert the text into the numbers, right? Sorry, what the FAISS will do? What the FAISS will do, guys? It will a vector database, right? So this we have done, right? So we these two steps now we are doing, right? Convert them into the vectors using the OpenAI embeddings, and then we are storing it to the vector database. This is how we are going to convert. Now we are going to retrieve the information, right? So here we are saying k is equals to 3, right? That means if I'm going to ask the question how many leaves an employee can take, how many leaves an employee can take, right? It will extract the 3 most relevant chunks from this information, right? And for that, we are using the GPT 4.0 mini. And this is the prompt template we are giving, that you are a helpful assistant. Answer only from the provided context below. So what does that mean? Only give me the answer from the document which we have provided. If the context is insufficient, say you do not know, right? And then we are giving it, right? Now just run this, right? And here we are asking the question, right? So let's start asking the questions, right? So let's suppose the first question which we have asked is, what is the salary of mentioned in this document, right? So what we can do, I can double check, right? So control F, salary. Now see, salary was this kind of chatbot you have created. Was it very difficult? The answer is no. Only 5 to 6 lines of code, and that's it. That's it, right? So with this, you can create any complex application with these 5 different steps, right? Now, I'll quickly show you if I want to deploy it on the Streamlit, right? Because you are not going to show this to the end user, right? So if I am the customer, I'm not going to run this code. Okay, I'm not going to, right? I want to see the this is the meaning of RAG application, right? This is the meaning of RAG application, that we have created our domain specific application. this code and we can tell that instead of giving I do not know, right, we can give the answer that please upload some other document which will have some relevant information. That kind of prompt we can give here, instructions we can give. Rao, will that make sense?
Correct. Yeah, actually, like, I'm from I work in Salesforce technology.
Okay.
I'm Salesforce Agentforce certified. Like I recently got it. And there is something called data cloud for ingesting the data from different places. For example, let's assume, like I go to a website, let's say Amazon, in
Mm-hmm.
Salesforce, what we call Commerce Cloud, right? Like, then I put something like, click something, buy something kind of thing. So I want to ask the question based on that input. So you ingest the data from different places, right? Like, we use something called they call data cloud. So do you have anything generic to load the data, different types of data?
So in this case, what
Because
happens?
it has to do like transformation, right? Like, it has to do some transformation. You have to generate some insights, all those kind of thing.
But here actually we do not need to do all those transformations and other things. The reason is my LLM will take care of that thing. Okay. So what
No,
happens? We need
LLM
to
doesn't
understand.
take care. LLM is
No.
basically like, it's an engine, right? Like, you ask the question, it'll understand the question, and the data should be available. As I said, if I have the question about what is my salary, but data available is Bible, it'll
Mm-hmm.
not. See, basically,
Correct.
LLM is you have to train the LLM with the data, right? In that case, then you ask the question relevant to the data, it can answer.
Actually, this does the magic. These OpenAI embeddings, no, this convert the text into the numbers. For example, I'll tell you. I am saying that I live in USA. Right? This is the first sentence. And second sentence is I like to watch live matches. Now, right? So this is also live, and here also the spelling is exactly the same. Correct?
Correct.
So coming to your question, right? So this will be taken care by my OpenAI embeddings. The embeddings which I am sharing here, no, this one which we are using here. So this will give the different embeddings to this and different embeddings to this.
It is
Right? So
context
if
sensitive. The semantics is context sensitive.
contextual meaning,
Semantics is meaning, right?
contextual
Contextual.
meaning, contextual
Yeah,
meaning, yeah.
contextual or context sensitive. Yep. Based on the
Correct.
context, live is a different meaning.
Correct, correct. So if you are going to use the open source embeddings or the local embeddings like one hot encoding, so they both will have the same embeddings, right? It will be also converted into like 011 and this will also get converted into 011. But this is where the OpenAI embeddings or these embeddings come into the picture. This will give this different meaning to this and this will come give the different meaning to this. Okay, so this is why I was saying data cleaning, that is not much relevant because it will take care automatically of all these things, the
Okay.
OpenAI embeddings. Yeah.
Let us give some time to other people to ask their question.
Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, we will be
definitely.
discussing. So, provide me your contact information. Like we'll discuss. We
Yeah, sure,
exchange
sure, sure.
ideas.
Sure, sure, sure. Maybe Channa can help in this part.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes. Uh,
Uh,
we will
my
reach out
name
to.
is my name is Venkoba Rao Jujare.
Yes, we have your details, Venkobrao, and we will reach out to you if you have any questions and with the answers for your questions.
Okay.
Yes. And we have got also a couple of questions from Durga Arhant. If you are able to see the questions, we'll try to answer
I
as
see.
many questions as possible in this session. Else, team will be reaching out to you for the answers for your questions soon.
So maybe you can unmute yourself, guys, in case I'm not able to locate your question. Please unmute yourself and we can discuss.
The
Yes.
problem is the questions are specific to the person. It's not like open question to all.
Yes.
One cannot see other questions.
Yes, yes. I've sent you, Arvind. I've sent you on your chat the questions from Durga. We got 6 questions.
Okay.
We'll try to.
I can see only your message. Like you have shared the details like for any
Yeah.
queries and assist. Oh, okay, this one. Okay,
Yes.
so we have from Pooja Bhardwaj. Okay. Sir, could you please show the coding of VS Code and Streamlit once? Okay. So this is the code for that. For Streamlit, you are specifically asking. So for Streamlit, this is the code. So what we are doing, mostly exactly the same code, which we have seen in the Google Colab. So firstly, we are importing all the things, right? Additional thing is here we are importing the Streamlit also, right? Remaining all the things are same, okay? Then load env. So why the load env is used? Because here if you see, I was showing my OpenAI API key, right? But ideally this is not a good practice to show the OpenAI API key or any API key. So we generally store it in the VENV, right? In the ENV environment variables, right? And this is how we are importing it. Now this is how we create the Streamlit UI. So whatever I'm writing here, like say set page config, so you will see that will appear here, right? This one, see PDF and Q&A chat. After
That
that,
is basically like VS Code, right? The one black screen. This is the VS Code.
this is VS Code only. Yeah, this is
Correct.
VS Code only.
What is the other
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
The one which was white background. The other one that you were demoing.
This one.
No, yeah, this one.
This is Google Colab. So this gives us the benefit to use the GPU, right? So here we can use the GPU also. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the title, right? So chat with your PDF. So here you will see this title is coming in this thing, right? Chat with your PDF. If you want to give some other title, definitely you can give in this part. Okay, so then here we are creating the cache also. Cache in the sense, now when we work on the Streamlit, right? So I'm going to upload the PDF here, and from that PDF only, I'm going to ask the questions again and again and again. Okay, so if I want to store this PDF into this cache, then for that I need to write this cache, right? So that means I'm saying ki store this PDF, whatever I'm going to store, right? So store it in the cache itself, right? And here I'm doing the same thing. I'm loading the documents. I'm recursive character text splitter. This is exactly the same code which we have done in the GPT also. I mean in the Google Colab also, right? And here we are giving the upload file option, right? So if you see here, we have the browse files, this option, right? So this option we are getting from here, and sessions.state. So this is more of a Streamlit coding, right? So if I want, how I want to show. So PDF processed, asked below questions, right? So if you will see, so this kind of successful message if you want to show. So this is what we are showing here. If it is successful, then print this message. And we are using the GPT-4o mini, exactly the same thing what we have used in the Google Colab, same thing which we have used in the Google Colab, right? And then we are giving this command. Pooja, does that make sense? Okay, so now I'll quickly take the next question. This is A2. If the language of the question is different, French, for example, from the language of the document, chatbot can answer. Yes, definitely, right? So for that, there are some models, right, which are multilingual models, right, which can handle multiple languages, right? So then we have to call that particular model, which can handle like English also, French also, Germany also, right? So what we need to do, we need to use the OpenAI embeddings, right? I'll show you the code. We need to use OpenAI embeddings, this model, right? And this model, right? Those models which can understand both the languages, right? English also, Germany also, French also, right? Then definitely we can do. Okay, the only thing is we need to make the changes in these two models, right? And we can understand that. A2, right? I hope this answers your question. Okay, then we have 8 questions. Where there are GBs and TBs of data, how can we decide on chunk size and how can we optimize them? What's the best way to balance the chunk size versus the retrieval call? Yeah, very good question. So if you have GBs of data or TBs of data, okay, so generally what we do, we depend on the context size also, right? So generally, for example, if we talk about the GPT models itself, so in GPT models itself, we have like so many models, right? Some has the context window of 128K, right? Some have lesser context window like 64K. So if your data size is huge in GBs, then we can make the bigger chunks, right? Instead of having only 1,000, right? So here if you will see, instead of having only these 1,000 chunks, right, we can give like 10,000 also. Okay, so the reason is because the text size is big, and we need no need to create so many chunks, right? So we can reduce the chunks by increasing the chunk size, and overlap generally happens between like 10 to 20%, right? So this is the fixed tool which you can make sure. Okay, will companies like BOFA accept using OpenAI? What about the privacy of PII? Very good question. So in this case, we have some OLAMA models also, if you are aware about this. So here what we can do, here we can download the models in our local system, right? And we can train it by ourselves, right? So it does not take my data to the open source, right? So if you see these models, right, DeepSeek, it is of 404 GB. This is 4.4, this is 4.7 GB, right? This depends on the parameters, right? So we can download these models and we can run them locally, right? Then this kind of risk will not be there that my data will get exported to some other third-party website or that kind. Okay, so is there really a lot of files, like a TB of them? What about the latency? How can we handle them? Generally, we do not have the TB of data, right? We'll be having the data only in the MBs or maximum up till 10 GB. The reason is because if you talk the data like TB, this happens when you have the videos as the input, when you have the languages as the input, languages in the sense the speech as the input, right? So if I talk about this GPT model, this has been trained on 45 TB of data. So are you going to create the model which is like of the level GPT? The answer is no, right? So when GPT model is created on 45 TB of data, so in real time we'll not be having the TB of data. Generally, like MBs only. Otherwise, it can go till 10 GB. So because most of the times it will be a textual data, right? Until unless you are passing the speech, you are passing the videos or audios, right? So then it's a different story. Can you help me with the evaluation metrics? How do we choose them? So one is the blue score, right? So using the blue score, you can check like whatever the conversion it has done, it is correct or not. So for that, I would recommend you can go through the research papers also, right? In the research papers also, when this transformers concept came, when these OpenAI models came, right? So they have published the research papers, and generally the blue score is like 40. You can bring in your application also, right? So that is called as the human feedback in the loop. So after every step, human will validate whether the results are correct or not, whether it is making the sense or not. If it is not, it will give the thumbs down button and model will go back in the beginning and it will start retraining itself, right? So that is the reason you will see when you read the Google News, right? When you read the Google News, so there also you have the thumbs up and thumbs down button because they are continuously taking your feedback whether you are liking the content or not. Okay, so this is the answer for that.
Arihant, this is
Okay,
Rao.
so
Can I ask a quick question, please?
yeah, please go ahead.
See, a latest trend is like nano banana 3D. So can
Correct.
you just give me a structure of how this nano banana is made? Like, you have
Hmm.
LLM, you have prompt
Hmm.
engineering, you have data. These are the
Hmm.
main three ingredients of any AI.
Hmm.
LLM is needed, prompt engineering
Hmm.
is needed, and the data
Hmm.
is needed. With
Correct.
this three building block, how the 3D nano banana is generated? I'm very
Yeah.
curious about to know about that.
Yeah, this is simple only. This is based on the autoencoders plus stable diffusions models. Are you aware about these models? Like what are autoencoders? What are
No,
stable
no, no, no,
diffusions?
no,
Okay,
no.
so these are specifically work on the images and videos part. Okay, so what happens? Like they are continuously collecting the data, right? So you remember a few months back we have the Ghibli, which was very popular.
Correct.
Everyone was creating their own avatar. So these are the marketing strategies. What the companies are doing, they are collecting the data, right? Now using this Gemini 3D banana, what they are doing, they are collecting the data of the humans, right? We are blindly just pushing our data on these applications, and they are using our real images, right, to train their model, right? And they can use it anywhere. Okay, so what they are doing, because they need the input, they need the actual images, and this is what they are doing, Rao, at this point of time. They are continuously collecting our data, the real images, and based on that they can generate the new content tomorrow. So just I would suggest just go through the content of the stable diffusions, encoders, autoencoders, and variational autoencoders, Rao. That will give you the idea like how this thing is working. uh, uh, this table, this thing, text to image, right? This is nothing. This is just the text to image models only.